Oh, David Moyes is getting a new contract. We're doomed. The Daily Ramble podcast.
Hello Hammers fans, David Moyes here and you're watching Claret and Booze. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Good morning everyone. Welcome to Claret and Booze. This is my Daily Ramble. My name's Nick. If you're new to this channel, don't forget, subscribe. Drop a like on the video. And if you haven't already, head over to the Kent and Sussex Tea and Coffee Company. Grab yourself a nice 15% discount. They do all your commercial orders, domestic orders, you know, fancy stuff, all the way down to the stuff that you find in the supermarkets as well. Different brands, but far better, much more cost effective as well. And the guy that runs the company is a West Ham fan. That's the reason we're partnered with them. Great guys. Use our discount code, as I've already said, Claret15, get 15% off. Find a link in the description. Okay, let's tackle this big, fat Scottish elephant in the room. David Moyes is getting a 2-year contract again, the same as we heard it in January. Now, look, I know this was all triggered by David Moyes in the first place, but we heard it in January after we beat Arsenal. We heard it after Bournemouth. We've heard it again and again and again. Now, this time, the only difference is David Moyes himself publicly has said that the contract talks are going to wait until the end of the season. Now, he did tell a few porkies and said that there was a contract offer there waiting for him to sign it. It's since been proven, since been clarified by everyone close to Sullivan that that's a load of bollocks. It's not going to happen, right? Don't worry about it. But the story circulated again, probably not helped by the troublesome story of David Moyes' son has just joined the scouting team. Has he? Has he just joined the scouting team? Google it. Go and do it now. David Moyes' son joins West Ham scouting team. June 2021. It's the same pictures as well that they've used for this article. It's all the same. He's been working for West Ham for that long, for 3 years. It's an old story. And he's a freelancer as well. He's pay as you play. He ain't even on the books. So I don't see why that story's come out, apart from to poke the bear, to create issues within the West Ham fan base, because everybody knows that there are a large section of fans that are going to explode at the idea of David Moyes getting a new contract. Why is he bringing on his son as a scout? What does that mean? I felt the same when I first read it until I researched it a little bit. It means nothing. And even if it was a new thing, which it isn't, it doesn't matter. They can get rid of a scout, no problem. That's not going to prevent them getting rid of Moyes and getting a new bloke in, but it's old news. But what's more concerning is, why is this story being peddled? Why? You know, that is a bit weird. Where's it coming from? Now, we do know that Moyes, Steidten and Sullivan all like to leverage media to get their point across and to apply pressure to a situation. They've all been guilty of doing it. So this could quite possibly be from David Moyes, you know, from his side, from his camp, because we know that there's still politics going on behind the scenes. I don't know. It's a weird thing to peddle. It's a desperate thing to peddle. Like I said, it's easily, you can prove it so easily. It's old news. It means nothing. It means nothing. So like I said, David Moyes himself has come out and said there's going to be no more contract talks until the end of the season. Sullivan's come out and, through his favourite people, and said the same thing. It's not going to be until the end of the year. Nothing's going to happen until the end of the year. The only thing that will happen is if David Moyes goes out against Freiburg and then loses 3 or 4 games and there's a massive fucking meltdown in that bowl, he'll get sacked. Because it ain't going to cost anything to sack him now. What are you talking about? A month's money. By the time a month, 2 months' money. It's, he's on thin ice now, Moyes. The only way he makes it to the end of the season is if he has a really good finish. And I find that very, very difficult to believe that can happen when you look at the run-in, you look at the state of our squad. I just don't see it. Nothing's impossible, but yeah, I can't see it happening. I can't. Now, obviously, there's only one person involved with West Ham that would have been buoyed by the link to between Tim Steidten and Liverpool, and that would have been David Moyes. He'd have been crossing his fingers, he'd have been thinking, please go, please leave, because then he gets, in his mind, he'll get full control back. Well, they've just taken on Edwards, and they've given him some ridiculous role within Liverpool. So that position has now been filled. Tim Steidten staying here. Sorry, Dave, but that is just the way it is. It's just the way it is. Now, look, I'm going to reassure you all, right? So Tim Steidten staying He's staying. He's going to be. He's got control. This has always been the case. He was always going to be getting this year to put the pieces in place as a bedding in period, so that in this summer that comes, we can basically go. The next piece of the puzzle is going to be him getting a manager in. That is what is going to be happening. Okay, now when you think about it, now we're all nervous. I get nervous about it as well with David Moyes. I get nervous that they could change their mind. I really, really do, because Sullivan is unstable. But just look at the facts. Ignore the noise, right? Look at the facts. I'm gonna reiterate it again. David Moyes came in and took over from Pellegrini. Let's talk about his second stint. Pellegrini had 19 points after 19 games. David Moyes came in, had a transfer window where he got a few players in, and he achieved basically the same points total and equally as shit football in the second part of that season. He didn't do any better than Pellegrini did in the first part of the season. It was awful. Then what we did was we called the cavalry in. We went and got half the ex-England coaching team. There was more coaches than there were players at this point. Massive names in there. So we really called the cavalry in. Then we had COVID. And then we went on to have a really good season with David Moyes working with somebody else's squad, which still had loads of flair players in there that he could call upon. He hadn't had too much time to completely and utterly Moyes it up by that point. So he benefited from that as well. He added a little bit of solidity and structure to a really talented group of players that, at that point, that was quite a good balance. Not to forget, we were starting to get found out towards the second half of the season. He went out and he got Lingard. That transformed us. Lingard turned into Maradona. Massive stroke of luck, which it was, because he's tried to repeat that with Phillips this time around. Look how that's turned out. He turned into Maradona, drove us through. We got sixth spot. That started this whole journey. Lingard started this whole journey. And COVID. Moyes is the pandemic king. He is. He will always be the pandemic king. So that was where David Moyes hit his ceiling. I made several videos even back then saying he's hit his ceiling. I did. I've never really warmed to him. I had wobbles at times where I got giddy, for very early on, where I thought maybe I was wrong here. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I've been looking at this all wrong. But you soon saw what happened. And anyway, moving to the second season, the second full season. We start well. We've got no Lingard. We start well, and then we're in a fantastic position. We're in a position in the league where, and in Europa, where we're in a very strong position to challenge to actually go and win that competition, and we're in a proper good position in the league as well. All David Moyes has got to do is go out in that January transfer window and pad out and go and buy some attacking players to give us a chance to get us over the line. We only had Antonio at that point. That's all we had up front. That was the window where he could have gone and got Julian Alvarez. We've since found out Nunes as well from Liverpool. He's been offered all these players. No. That was the January window where we were all seething because we knew what that meant, and he had to come out and give a grovelling apology, absolving all of the board of any responsibility. It's all on me. It's all on David Moyes. He took full responsibility for that because it was his fault. I'm assuming they forced him to do it because we were raging. Anyway, second half of that season petered out. The football in the Premier League was dog shit. Somehow we managed to finish seventh. I've got no idea how we managed to finish seventh that year, but we did. And we crashed out we crashed out with a whimper against Frankfurt in the semi-final with an absolute whimper. Couple of good games, Lyon and Sevilla, good memories, but ultimately we crashed out with a whimper against Frankfurt over two legs. And like I say, we did manage to finish seventh, but so we've gone from sixth to seventh now. That's the progression. David Moyes is buying more players. He's selling more players. The football's getting notably worse. We move into the next season. One of the worst Premier League seasons I've ever had to endure. And I know we've seen bad ones. Of course, I didn't say it was the worst, but this is a team that had some fucking stars in it. You've got your Declan Rices. You've got Lucas Paqueta. We're in the Conference League. That's great. We're going out with a fucking £500 to £600 million squad playing nobodies and breezing through. He literally had. We took a chauffeur-driven car to the final. We did because, as I've said before, every team that we played en route to that final, collectively, their squad values was worth less than West Ham's, and we were favourites to win that competition before we even got started. So Frankfurt was really, I know AZ, we made a dog's dinner of it. We made it harder than it needed to be. But Fiorentina was the only tough game that we had in that competition, and it's a one-off game. So in essence, if we hadn't have won that, it was an achievement, but it would have been a massive failure had we not won it. A massive failure. So it's not an overachievement. It was expected. I would expect any team like Aston Villa. I know they've got a tough game. They've got Ajax, haven't they? On Thursday night, they've got the second leg. But I expect Aston Villa to win that this year. Any Premier League team with the amount of money we've got in this division that gets in that Conference League, they should be in with a real good shout of winning the competition. It's not going to be an uncommon occurrence. But that league, the Premier League season, 35 games of pain and shit with all of those players, it's ridiculous. We ended up, by some miracle, finishing 14th because we were locked down the bottom in a 35-game relegation battle. We were. So we've gone 6th, we've gone 7th, we've gone 14th in the league. Yes, he won a cup that he was favourites to win, and that kept him in his job. He would have been gone. History. He would have been nowhere. And then we move into this season. And right from the very beginning, we've seen a little bit of spirit. We saw a bounce after the cup win from the players, a good attitude, because obviously we lost Declan Rice this year, and we've gone out and we've got a load of results that we probably didn't deserve. There was an element of luck on our side, but you do make your luck. The stats all season long have been suggesting that West Ham have been performing like a bottom half team, a lower bottom half team, conceding the most chances on our goal, creating the least chances, and having the least possession. Those are all, that is basically the overarching stats of a team that usually fight in relegation, because the other teams down there are Burnley, Sheffield United and Luton. That's who we're in amongst in terms of data. But we've been smashing and grabbing. We've been having our goalkeeper, Areola, having man of the match after man of the match performances, performing heroics. We've been getting our front three, getting 3 chances and scoring 3 goals. So we've managed to get wins that way, and it has been luck, and I've been calling it out all season, as we all have on this channel. Even when we were 3rd in the league, I started selling Moyes out mugs. I could see where this was going. You could see where it was going. We currently sit 7th, but we've got to play all of the teams below us as we approach the next 10 games. You've got to play Wolves, you've got to play Newcastle, you've got to play Spurs, you've got to play Villa, who are just above us. But this is what I mean. This is going to be really difficult now, the run-in. You've got to hope that we get past Freiburg, but all that's going to do is going to hinder David Moyes in his push in this last 10 games, because when we get past Freiburg, we're only delaying the inevitable. We're not going to win the thing, but we're giving ourselves a few more fixtures, which get sandwiched in between critical Premier League games as we try and maintain that top 8 finish. Because as we all know, top 8 could equate to European football. It could do. But I don't think we're going to get top 8. I still think we're going to finish bottom half. So that means that the overarching progression of Moyes' project is 6th, 7th, 14th, and I reckon 10th to 12th. That's it. As he spent more money, the squad's got older, the squad's got uglier, the football's got worse. He spent 4.5 to 500 million, and we've ended up with, after 4 years, the smallest squad in the league and the oldest squad in the league that needs completely rebuilding. In what realm, if you think about this logically, is David Moyes going to get a new contract? Because there'd have to be, it would have to be a scenario where we have no idea as a club. We don't analyse anything. We just make it up as we go along. I'm pretty certain, with Tim Steidten on board now, all of these stats, figures, facts will have all been put in front of that board on a weekly basis. It's going to have been hammered home to them. And plus, I think it's always been the case to move on from Moyes, which is how we ended up with Tim here in the first place. Tim was brought in to help us move in a different direction. Now, whether we realise that or not, I don't know. We'll find out in the summer. But Moyes ain't going to be here. It would be the most idiotic of idiotic moves to keep David Moyes here. And this is what makes it very, very confusing for me when people back this guy, back him and back him and back him, and they can't see any argument against him, because I can't see any argument for him. He alienates players. He bores fans. He kills football. He blocks youth. He makes players, so many players, worse. He sends players out to that left wing on a repeated basis to kill them. He does. You know, James Ward-Prowse is the latest. It's just watching this repeat itself over and over again. He never changes. And what makes it worse is when he needs a win, you know, and surely they'll see this. When he needs a win desperately, like we did against Brentford, he'll go out, set the team up the right way. Our team will rip a team apart with attacking football. But he resents it. He don't enjoy it. Did you see his mannerisms after that game? He was fucking fuming. He stormed off down the tunnel, was really edgy in the post-match interview. He doesn't want to play football like that because he doesn't believe in it. He's trying to convince us and everyone at that club that the way to play football is to not play football. So it's probably annoying him that he's winning games playing the way that we're telling him he needs to with the players that he's got. The guy is a busted flush. I've been saying it for a long time. He's outstayed his welcome. He is a disaster recovery manager that you bring in when your running stats are low and you need a sergeant major to come in and start cracking the whip, blowing the whistle and get the fitness levels up. Beyond that, fuck him off, move him on and get someone in who can actually coach the team with the football. We can't even string two passes together now. So, look, what I'm trying to say is the point of that little I'm just reinforcing. I'm trying to reassure you, those of you that are Moyes out, those of you that are worrying about him getting a new 2-year deal, even without inside information, even without anything else, just look at the facts, okay? Ignore the noise. The club would want David Moyes to stay here until the summer because they don't want to pay him off, and their plan has always been to keep him here, let him move on, then we get someone else in once Tim's got his team in place. So that is still going to be their preference, but I think they're aware. I think that they are aware, and this season will have reinforced it. It will have reinforced their decision to move on from David Moyes. So I would just say maybe just sort of try and... We've only got a couple of months left now. Don't worry about it. Ignore the noise. Ignore the idiots on Twitter. And I'm not calling everyone that's Moyes out an idiot, by the way, because I do often make that sort of sweeping statement. For instance, we've got people that watch this channel that are Moyes in, but they are respectful of other people's views and they understand why we have fans that are Moyes out. They understand it, because how can you not? Okay, that's fine. I get that. I get some reasons why some Moyes in... I get some of the reasons why some people want Moyes to remain. For instance, they're worried because they don't trust Sullivan to go out there and sufficiently replace him. That's a valid concern. I get that. But what I can't stand are the amount of smug bastards out there that just kind of make stuff up. It's baseless. You know, they just try and make you look stupid for doubting Moyes. You'll put an argument out there and they'll go 6th place, 7th place, win a cup. That's what they'll do. They'll just parrot it, you know? Fucking morons. But anyway, look, that's it from me. I've taken up far too much of your time. Moyes ain't... Tim's staying. Moyes is off. And so's his son. Cover you odds. Moyes is out.